Bleach is, honest to God, one of my favorite anime ever. Is it the best anime I've ever seen? No. Is it the prettiest anime I've ever seen? Well, this new season is gorgeous, but probably still no. Is it the best written anime? No. But Bleach, alongside Naruto, was the anime that really got me into anime. Okay, technically it was Sailor Moon and Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'm trying to make a point here. Bleach was my shonen. I remember where I was when I was reading the last chapter of the manga. And now, 10 years after the end of the original anime, we are now getting the true, quote-unquote, ending to Bleach, which is the 1,000-year Blood War. So far, every episode has been a continuous step in the right direction, and even though I read the entire manga beforehand, that was years ago, so I'm kind of going into this the best way possible. Blind. I'm being surprised all over again by the fights and reveals. Every episode builds upon the last in a way that makes me dread having to wait a whole week. But these last 2 episodes of Bleach are easily the best 2 episodes of the series ever, and honest to God, some of the best episodes of anime that I have ever seen. And aside from just being plain visually stunning and immaculately scored, what episodes 6 and 7 have done is mastered emotions. Bleach as a fiction is sitting in the incredibly privileged position of being nostalgia service. The majority of people who are watching the 1,000-year Blood War are not doing so because they are checking out Bleach for the first time. They are watching because they are deeply emotionally invested because of the decades-long engagement that they have with the characters and their conflicts. Stories centered on revisiting the nostalgic have an opportunity and really should center on respectfully diving into the fan service-fueled emotions of its audience. The closest thing that I can think of to this is actually Spider-Man No Way Home, which expertly balanced telling a mature, genuine story of trauma and redemption, alongside indulging fans with experiences that spoke to the wonder of their younger selves. Episodes 6 and 7 of Bleach reach back in time to pull our latent excitement into the present and are more concerned with interrogating our feelings than simply pushing through plot points. But before that, I did want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Babbel. If you are traveling for the holidays to someplace new or just want to impress some relatives, learning a new language might be the best move you can make, and Babbel has got you covered. It teaches you to speak using real conversations that you might hear every day, and even if you're busy, the lessons are interactive and around 10 minutes short. They have learning plans designed for fast, efficient results that can get you speaking another language in as little as 3 weeks. They have a ton of different ways to learn, like podcasts or games too, and best of all, the services come with a 20-day money-back guarantee. I myself have a love for Italian, and Babbel is definitely helping me get back into the groove. Andrò in Italia un giorno, la prometto. And because I like to hook you guys up, if you use my link in the description, you will get 60% off your purchase. So go ahead and try Babbel today. Now, getting back to Bleach, episodes 6 and 7 are insane for many reasons. Really, the entirety of the season is insane so far, and it's all due to the build-up across the episodes and how they stand on each other's shoulders. From that crazy introduction of Sasakibe dying to the slaughtering of the troops in general, the stakes have risen with each passing week. There is this utter sense of dread that permeates each episode, and it's created because of the powerlessness of our usually immensely powerful main characters. There's no better example of this than Byakuya's battle. He is one of the most dangerous captains in all of Soul Society, a man who has barely struggled against some of the toughest foes out there, and he is getting his face beat in by some random Quincy. It's captivating and sad all at once, like watching a train wreck. And it's not just Byakuya. All the Soul Reapers we have come to care about are in mortal danger. So through that investment, Yamamoto's introduction onto the scene is more than just the point in the narrative when the cavalry comes. It's about the feeling of knowing someone is finally here to fight to protect the characters we love. It's that assured, joyful confidence of knowing that after all the pain and suffering, the strongest being in existence is taking off the kid gloves to show all the villains what he's really about. Now, obviously, we're only in episode 6. Even if you knew nothing about Bleach, you would know that there is no way that the big bad evil guy and his entire army would be defeated this early. But the point of the episode isn't to make us believe that the entire storyline would be wrapped up here. It's to put us through the gambit of emotions. It's simply to make us feel. There are moments in shonen that transcend watching pretty fights between individuals with cool powers. You have moments that are a joy to witness, yes, but the fuel for that enjoyment comes almost completely from the emotional experience of what you are beholding. It's when the shonen cashes in on all that narrative stock it had been building up. It's All Might versus All for One. It's Jiraiya versus Pain. It's Mustang versus Envy. It's Zuko versus Azula. These moments indulge us in emotions that have been set up across the entire series. And Yamamoto's fight is exactly that. Bleach, possibly more than any other shonen, is predicated on huge gated power spikes. Half the fun of exploring the world of these characters is discovering what their swords do through Shikai and Bankai. It's their fingerprint, really, an extension of their personality, and aside from, again, being really cool to look at, they also actually help us learn about the characters through brilliant displays of showing. It's their identity made manifest in combat. But across the many hundreds of episodes of Bleach and the dozens of fights within, we only ever see Yamamoto's Shikai, his most basic sword release. And those seldom times, when that Shikai is seen, it is far and away more powerful than anything else any other character could muster. For hundreds of episodes and literal real-world decades, Yamamoto's Bankai has been a secret that he has either refused or not needed to use. But through his mourning for Chojuro and being pushed to the edge by the Vandenreich invasion, Yamamoto finally shows his true power and releases a Bankai that some of us have been waiting for since we were children. And the emotions of that moment are mirrored in the hope and excitement of the characters themselves. Yamamoto has always been depicted as a godlike force of nature that had to be strategically outmaneuvered rather than confronted head-on. Aizen quite literally had to create an entire new life form with the sole purpose of stopping Yamamoto's power, and even that almost didn't work. Yamamoto, even while holding back, was a symbol of unmatched strength, ready to stand firm at the final hour. So now, with his greatest power unveiled, we fans finally get to see him not hold back. We were treated to Bleach's spectacle of ages. We got to see firsthand why no one in 1,000 years had replaced Yamamoto as head captain. For a whole episode, the Quincy leader who had caused the pain and suffering of so many characters that we cared about was himself in mortal terror. Yama's power is so great that its sheer presence would literally end existence. And we even are allowed to feel Ju-Habak's emotions too, as he reels from seeing the revitalized corpses of his closest friends and allies. The entire confrontation is an immaculately animated sequence that rivals anything Bleach has ever done. But like any good narrative, all highs are met with lows. And where the perfection of episode 6 was derived from allowing us the exhilaration of being championed by Yamamoto's unimaginable power, episode 7's perfection comes from forcing us to stew in our hope being dashed away. Episode 7 deals with emotions associated with the sudden ripping up of our safety blanket. Yamamoto embodied the idea that everything would be alright because of his stoic supervision, but that's gone. And Yamamoto's death is made even more painful by it immediately following his humanization. For so long, the head captain was more of an idea than a man. He was the 13 court guard squads and all the power they represented. But this final chapter of Bleach shows us the man behind the myth. We see his deep love for Chojuro and the transformation he underwent from ruthless killer to beloved teacher. We see the sorrow and regret over the person he once was and the steps he takes in ensuring the next generation will not repeat his sins. And as soon as we get to know the deeper Yamamoto, all that narrative energy is used to snuff him out along with our optimism of fending off the Quincy threat. Yamamoto's death signals the doom of Soul Society, the loss of hope, and establishes Ju-Habak as a dangerous villain the likes of which we have never seen. And again, expertly, the narrative allows us a vessel for our feelings by having Ichigo erupt onto the scene to soak in all the carnage. He is filled with sorrow, rage, and sheer disbelief at what he's seeing. And as much as we all hope and expect for our bright-haired shonen protagonist to save the day with a righteous fury pointed at the villain, that doesn't happen. Episode 7 solidifies this era of Bleach as one that will not cater to the most basic nature of the good prevails narrative. Ichigo, for all his power and plot armor, still can't give us the retribution that we fans desire most in the moment. And to solidify its perfection, the episode ends on a trifecta of storytelling momentum. We receive a much-needed transfusion of hope as Ichigo is able to stand against Ju-Habak with a newly discovered power. But even that hope is countermeasured by dread and confusion as we are left with the cliffhanger that Ichigo is a Quincy and related to the villain. And finally, we see the villains retreat, leaving our heroes the unexpected respite to lick their wounds so they may fight another day. It's a bittersweet conclusion if there ever was one, and such an ending nearly demands that you, as a watcher, continue, if for nothing else than to simply have these churned emotions be put to rest. As I said, I already read through all of the 1,000-Year Blood War. I know everything that is going to happen, and even still, I find myself enraptured by what the anime is able to present to me. 10 years of waiting has swelled the expectation for this finale, but judging by the perfection delivered to us in the last 2 weeks, I trust the biggest, most emotional moments are still yet to come. Anyway, thanks for watching all the way until the end. If you like what you heard, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you really want to be a homie, support the channel on Patreon, check out the second channel, or go to my website to check out my editing services and books. As always, it was a pleasure, and I'll talk to you all again soon.